What's up, YouTube? It's your boy John from Project Ellsworth. Over the last few days, I've gone out and hit every Dollar Tree in my area. In addition to that, last weekend, I went out to a couple of outlet stores with my wife and I picked up something pretty cool. This is another haul video. I hope you guys are all doing well and staying safe. Alright, so I guess I'll start off with the oddball. I went to a toy store. There's an outlet center near us. It's called the Gloucester's Premium Outlets. I believe that's what that thing was called. I've never been there before. And there was a whole lot of stuff in there that I was absolutely not interested. Clothes and pocketbooks. They had a ton of sneaker stores there. I like sneakers, so I'm interested in that stuff. But I wasn't out shopping for that, so I kind of felt like I was sort of along for the ride. But one thing I did find was they had a couple of toy stores in there. They had like a game store, which was not just games like most kids think of today. It wasn't video games. As a matter of fact, there were no video games. It was literally like games, puzzles, and board games. They did have a few pop figures in there. The only thing I saw in there that I did not already have was this really cool Pennywise puzzle. 1,000-piece puzzle. I figure one of these days I'll start putting this thing together. I have two other puzzles. I have a Friday the 13th puzzle and a Shining puzzle that I have not started yet. So this will go into the pile of stuff that I haven't done yet. But once these are done, my intention is to frame them and hang them in my man cave. I thought creating something and putting some effort into something and hanging it in the wall down here would be cooler than just buying something and slapping it in a frame and throwing it up on the wall. So this will just be another, or is another future project for me. Alright, in addition to that, I guess I should have shown you that side of the box, huh? That would make more sense. Alright, so in addition to that, I hit, like I said, every Dollar Tree around me. I got a pretty decent amount of DVDs, and I got two Blu-rays. I'll save the Blu-rays till the end. What the hell? As you all know, all this stuff is $1, so let's get to it. I got Zombie Massacre 2, Reich of the Dead. I think that was pretty neat. It's the first time I've ever seen one of these in a dollar store. They're hungry for war. This one says, set during the height of World War II, Allied soldiers fight against the bloodthirsty army of the undead created by the Nazis. That sounds like Dead Snow and Outpost. Whatever. It's a big thing about Nazi zombies. Whatever. Using genetic experiment on prisoners of war and people with mental disorders. Alongside the carnage of the trenches and terror of combat, the oncoming Allied soldiers are now faced with battling an ever-expanding and near-indestructible horde of zombies. They have just one night to save their own lives and escape the soulless grip of their lifeless enemies, or face becoming part of the zombie army themselves. So it sounds pretty good. I dig zombie movies quite a bit, so, yeah, awesome. How do you not pick that up? Next, I got something called Witchcraft. What actually happened to Ezekiel or Oliphant? Professor Jamie Mathieson, Mathieson, whatever. Professor Jamie has chosen to base his new film script on Ezekiel Oliphant, a 17th century man deemed the witch finder of Edgbaston, who was hung, drawn, and quartered on charges of treason and witchcraft. Returning to his old university, Jamie seeks help from Professor Alan Oakfield, a man utterly obsessed with the time period. As disturbing events begin to unfold around the professor, Jamie is left to wonder if this is just an obsession or something more sinister. That also sounds pretty good. I have something in the works that I'm actually going to start trying to rifle through these Dollar Tree movies. I'm not going to tell you exactly what it is yet, but I definitely have a plan to start watching these movies. Next up is something called Prey. How far would you go to clear your name? I'm not going to read all of these. If I read every single one of these, we're going to be here for a while, and I know YouTube don't work like that. The algorithm doesn't... Whatever. All right, next up, we have something called Ghost Hunter. It's listed as captivating. It's one hell of a write-up. It takes a fraud to spot a fake. Everyone is haunted, but it's not always supernatural. Supernatural, that would have been good for top 20 for 2020 list this week. All right, next we have something up. Live to Ride, Ride to Die, Poker Run. I thought this looked pretty cool. The cover did. It kind of looks like Ghost Hunter or Ghost Rider. Nicolas Cage. It looks just like Nicolas Cage. Weekend bikers Robert and Alan are plunged into a world of horrifying violence when their women are abducted by a pair of psychotic bikers during a motorcycle rally. Sounds like Sturgis. The two desperate men are forced to follow a series of frighteningly bizarre clues and several terrifying tasks that will leave them sweltering. Tasks that will leave the sweltering Mojave... I can say Mojave, but not sweltering. Sweltering Mojave Desert with the roar of motorcycles and awash in blood. I think that sounds actually pretty cool. It almost sounds like... It kind of reminds me of Saw, where you know there's a couple of the Saw movies where somebody's got to save somebody else, but they have to go through a bunch of stuff to get to them. You all know what the Saw movies are. But I thought that sounded pretty cool. When I first saw this, I saw it maybe like a month ago, and I didn't buy it because this just did not look like a horror movie to me. And I was in one Dollar Tree over the last couple days, and they basically had nothing, but they had this. So I picked it up and read the back of it, and it actually does sound like a horror movie. So I picked it up. All right, next up, I saw Sean Blue Digital pick this up probably about a month ago, and I was jealous because I never saw it in one of my Dollar Trees, but this time I found it. It's called The Jungle. I think that looks pretty darn cool. I don't even need to read the back of this, and I know that seeing that right there, I wanted this movie. So, you know, what the hell. An exploration deep into the Indonesian rainforest to find and tag elusive Javan, 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 got me. Javan leopard leads I can't read to save my life today. Conservationist Larry Black and his team on a path of terror. When their expedition uncovers evidence of a horrifying new species, they realize that legendary forest demon feared by the natives is more than just a myth. Christ on his throne. But I thought that looked really cool, and it actually does sound really good. So I was excited to see that in one of my Dollar Trees. Next up, the next two DVDs are actually 3 movies in one DVD. This one is called The Killing House, and included is Headhunter, The Assessment Weekend. It's a weird name for a movie, isn't it? The Assessment Weekend. And Curtains. So I thought that was pretty cool. 3 movies for $1. And the next one is called The Ghost Beyond, and that comes also with 2 movies, which are Beneath the Mississippi and Legacy of Evil. I actually thought that those 2 movies both sounded familiar, and they do, because I got another movie, Dollar Tree DVD, gross, that included bonus movies on it, and the 2 bonus movies that were on that were these 2 movies. So this basically was 3 movies for $1, but I only needed 1 of them, so whatever. Thought that was pretty neat too. Alright, next up. This just has me curious. Be careful how you shape your fate. Clay. BBC. Unleash your power. 14-year-old Dave Hagen's life is changed forever by a mysterious outsider, Stephen Rose. In a bizarre ritual, the boys raise a golem, a creature fashioned from clay, capable of dealing with anyone. Aren't we all capable of dealing with anyone? Even the town bully. Magic? Surely not. Just the product of 2 fevered imaginations. But then the town bully ends up dead, and Dave has to deal with the awful power that he may have unleashed. So it sounds pretty neat. I think that sounds interesting. Whatever. But Clay, $1. Next up, Curse of the Phoenix. Almost every dollar store I went to had this movie, and they had several copies of it. So I don't know if that means they just got a huge shipment of this movie in, or that this movie completely sucks. Either way, I own it now. Stay away from the water. Josh is not... Looks like I am going to read just about all of these. It will make you afraid to ever venture out into the sea or even fall in love. Weird. Josh's nightmare begins with ghostly visions of beautiful Emily Carson, who haunts the 19th century sailing ship on which he leads historical tours. A daughter of the ship's long ago owners, Emily killed herself in 1850 after a disastrous romance. Aiming to embellish his tour with her story, Josh digs for facts and finds more horror than he bargained for. Steel your nerves for graveyard revelations, murder most foul, and a terrifying race to find the frightful truth frightful truth before Emily takes a final possession of Josh and the woman he loves. A paranormal mystery to die for. Sounds okay. Ghost story on a boat. Ghost ship. That's definitely not the type of boat that Ghost Ship was on. I like ghost stories. So that's a good thing I like ghost stories, because this one is Last House on Cemetery Lane. I am not going to read this one, I promise. I'm not going to trouble you with more of me stammering. The Shining meets Insidious. I dig Insidious, and The Shining is one of my favorite movies of all time. So if I solely based my viewing of this on that statement right there, I will be very upset and let down by this movie. But I know better than that. Should be pretty cool. Alright, and the two Blu-rays that I got Open Grave. It's the dude that's in District 9 and Elysium, and he's the voice of Chappie. Neil Blomkamp loves that guy. I actually saw something in the bonus features of District 9. I always thought that there had to be some sort of a link between those two dudes. Neil Blomkamp and this dude, his name is, I never remember his name because it's unusual, Charlito Copley. They were friends in high school. And after Blomkamp got his movie picked up by Peter Jackson, he told Peter Jackson that he already knew who the star of District 9 was going to be, and it was this dude that I'm never going to remember his name, Charlto, whatever, Mr. Copley. Anyway, that's that. You don't care about that. I don't care about that. A man wakes him up in a pit of dead bodies with no memory of who he is or how he got there. Fleeing the scene, he breaks into a nearby house and is met at gunpoint by a group of terrified strangers, all suffering from memory loss. Suspicion gives way to violence as the group starts to piece together clues about their identities. But when they uncover a threat that is more vicious and hungry than each other, they are forced to figure out what brought them all together before it's too late. And there is a behind-the-scenes featurette on this DVD. But I thought it sounded really good, and it's a Blu-ray, and it has a slipcover, and all that good stuff that we movie collectors enjoy. And it was $1. So, and I dig him. I like him. I thought, even though he wasn't actually in Chappie, he was just the voice of Chappie. The 3 movies that I've seen him in have all been pretty good. So, I dig him. I thought it was good. He was in another movie, too, that he was a bad guy, and I can't remember for the life of me what that movie was, but whatever. And the last thing, bored yet, me reading to you? The last thing that I got is a movie that I never heard of, and it kind of surprised me because I'm a big fan of Eli Roth, is Eli Roth's Aftershock. I never heard of this before in my life, and this was actually in the last Dollar Tree that I went to. In the middle of a night of wild partying, a hapless American tourist and his friends are suddenly plunged into a living hell when a powerful earthquake rips through the coastal town of Valparaiso, Chile. How bad did I butcher that sucker right there? Yeah, whatever. So there's an earthquake in Chile, and these guys got stuck in it. So it sounds pretty cool, and it's Eli Roth, so I'm in. And I believe that is Eli Roth Right there. So, that's it. Eli Ross Aftershock. That's everything I got. I'm done reading to you for the day. Story time again soon, folks. Maybe next month. All right. I'm going to get out of here. If you guys like this video, please give me a thumbs up. If you really like this video and you've been enjoying my content up to this point, and I hope that you have, please do me a huge personal favor. Click that subscribe button and ring that bell. Take care of yourself. Take care of each other. Have a kick-ass day. And thank you for watching. Later, folks.